Is crypto responsible for ransomware, as the California lawmaker alleges? Crypto-friendly Congressman Eric Swalwell has joined the choir of politicians who are urging Congress to look into crypto's role in ransomware attacks. Eric Swalwell, a famed Democratic lawmaker from California, is urging Congress to look into crypto's role in ransomware hacks in the wake of a recent supply chain attack on Kaseya. The Miami-based information technology company fell victim to a sophisticated cyber attack orchestrated by REvil, a Russian ransomware group, earlier this week. In its Friday statement, Kaseya told its 40,000 customers to shut down their VSA servers, which are used for establishing remote control access to computers. Thousands of businesses in at least 17 countries have been affected by the incident, according to Frank Bajak of the Associated Press. A screenshot shared by Mark Lohman, director of engineering at British cybersecurity firm Sophos, shows that the attackers are demanding $45,000 worth of privacy coin Monero from most victims for decrypting their infected files. The price will be doubled for those who do not pay on time. Why are cybercriminals using Monero? Monero has emerged as a darling of cybercriminals because it's very hard to trace. Ring signatures, which enable transaction mixing, make it impossible to figure out the sender's address. It also deploys the confidential transactions (CT) encoding scheme, which obscures the amount of crypto that's being sent. The U.S. Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, even offered a $625,000 bounty to anyone who could crack Monero. The lawmaker blamed crypto for ransomware. Swalwell, who started accepting cryptocurrency donations for his presidential campaign in 2019, says that Congress has to take swift action against ransomware attacks. In May, crypto was thrust into the spotlight after the Colonial Pipeline crippled the East Coast fuel supply, with some calling to impose a blanket ban on digital assets. The company agreed to pay dark-side hackers $4.4 million worth of Bitcoin. The FBI was later able to recover a substantial portion of the ransom by obtaining a private key to an address associated with the hackers. Ransomware hackers demand $70 million in Bitcoin, claim massive U.S. attack, as Biden investigates possible Russian involvement. A group of Russian-speaking hackers have claimed responsibility for a massive ransomware attack over the holiday weekend that hit 200 U.S. firms and hundreds more worldwide, with the group demanding $70 million in Bitcoin to restore the company's data in the latest debilitating cyber attack to hit the U.S. this year. The U.S. has been subject to a string of severe cyber attacks in recent years, many pinned on groups believed to be based in Russia or have ties to its government. The FBI blamed REvil, the group claiming responsibility for this latest attack, for an attack wiping out 20% of the country's beef-producing capacity. DarkSide, another hacker collective believed to have Russian links, attacked Colonial Pipeline in May, prompting gas shortages as the key East Coast pipeline went offline for several days. The government was able to recover the majority, that's $2.3 million of the $4.4 million of the ransom paid for the hack. A severe security breach in SolarWinds Orion, an IT management platform, left government agencies, tech companies, and cybersecurity companies vulnerable to Russian hackers earlier this year. Will the U.S. government pay the ransom? Paying hackers ransom demands is controversial. It can sometimes be the fastest and most cost-effective way to recover your data, but many officials, including the FBI, have long maintained it encourages more crime, and not all those paying a ransom actually receive a key to decrypt their data. In just 2 months last year, the FBI watched 3 companies pay hackers wielding ransomware called NetWalker millions in Bitcoin to get their hacked data back. While that seems like a big win for the cybercriminals, it also gave investigators in the U.S. and elsewhere a new roadmap for attacking and prosecuting them. Who was behind all this? Cybersecurity teams worked feverishly on Sunday, Monday in Manila, to stem the impact of the single biggest global ransomware attack on record, with some details emerging about how the Russian-linked gang breached the company whose software was the conduit. an affiliate of the notorious REvil gang, best known for extorting $11 million from the meat processor JBS after a Memorial Day attack, infected thousands of victims in at least 17 countries on Friday, largely through firms that remotely manage IT infrastructure for multiple customers, cybersecurity researchers said. REvil was demanding ransoms of up to $5 million, the researchers said. But late Sunday, it offered in a posting on its dark web website a universal decryptor software key that would unscramble all affected machines in exchange for $70 million in cryptocurrency. Earlier, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, the FBI, said in a statement that while it was investigating the attack, its scale may make it so we're unable to respond to each victim individually. President Biden suggested on Saturday the United States would respond if it was determined that the Kremlin is at all involved. Less than a month ago, Biden pressed Russian President Vladimir Putin to stop giving safe haven to REvil and other ransomware gangs whose unrelenting extortionary attacks the United States deems a national security threat. How big is the attack? CEO Fred Vacola of the breach software company Kaseya estimated the victim number in the low thousands, mostly small businesses like dental practices, architecture firms, plastic surgery centers, libraries, and things like that. Vacola said in an interview that only between 50 to 60 of the company's 37,000 customers were compromised, but 70% were managed service providers who used the company's hacked VSA software to manage multiple customers. It automates the installation of software and security updates and manages backups and other vital tasks. Experts say it's no coincidence that REvil launched the attack at the start of the 4th of July holiday weekend, knowing that U.S. offices would be lightly staffed. Many victims may not learn of it until they're back at work on Monday. Most end users of managed service providers have no idea whose software keep their networks humming, said Vacola. Kaseya said it sent a detection tool to nearly 900 customers on Saturday night. The REvil offer to offer blanket encryption for all victims of the Kaseya attack in exchange for $70 million suggests its inability to cope with the sheer quantity of infected networks, said Alan Liska, an analyst with the cybersecurity firm Recorded Future. Although analysts reported seeing demands of $5 million and $500,000 for bigger targets, it was apparently demanding $45,000 for most. This attack is a lot bigger than they expected and is getting a lot of attention. It is in REvil's interest to end it quickly, said Liska. This is a nightmare to manage, according to the Associated Press. How did REvil get in? According to reports, the group had started by hacking a US-based company called Kaseya. But according to Kaseya, only a few dozen of its customers had actually been affected by the hack. But it seems the ripple effect of those affected carried on. Kaseya had earlier been alerted by the Dutch Institute for Vulnerability Disclosure, DIVD, that they had a number of zero-day vulnerabilities in its VSA software that were being exploited by the hackers. But Kaseya said that they were actually in the process of fixing these vulnerabilities when the attack took place on Friday, July the 2nd. That's all for today. If you have any questions regarding crypto, don't hesitate to reach out to us in the comments section. Also, let us know on what topic you want to see in the next video. To continue enjoying more of our crypto videos, kindly subscribe to our channel. Do us a favor by liking, commenting, and sharing our content with friends or across social media channels.